everyone, it's Heidi from Flutterby, heidi.wordpress.com here, back again with another Ferrero Friday project, and this time we're making a little lift-off lid box like so, which this one I actually thought would look very Christmassy. That's using our retiring DSP, so I thought we'd perhaps do something a little bit more party-like, and so I've done this one here, which you can see, it says best wishes, and this is using the new Pop of Pink DSP, which is 12 sheets of DSP, and in here you get the double-sided sheets, which are pink on the one side and then a black and white design on the other. If I zoom out you can get a better view of that. So you can see some lovely designs and 2 sheets of each of those, and then so some stripes, and then the dots which I've used. Then at the back you've got a lovely sheet of white with gold in a dot pattern and in like a sprinkles pattern. So those are really pretty and a really nice range that I think is going to get a lot of use. I mean, the fact that it's black and white, obviously you could colour that to match any colour combination that you happen to have. I'm saying that's 12 sheets, so that's what we're going to be using. And rather than do it again in the black, which I've done there, you can see I've decided to mix it up a little bit, and I've added some, if you look here, added some squares which I've just cut diagonally. I've cut squares and then I've adhered those after I've scored diagonally, so you can actually make something a little bit different, having not put one of those on very straight. Okay, then a little bit of the 3/8 ribbon, that one's in the silver and you've got the gold on there, not Pool Party glitter ribbon. And then this is the retiring washi punch, but obviously other punches would be fine to punch your sentiment and just layer it up. So straightforward to make this time. It's 2 pieces of card, and you'll need a piece which is 4.5 by 4.5 and 3 3/8 by 3 3/8. And then I'm just going to use my trimmer here to do the scoring on. Okay, so taking the 4.5 by 4.5 piece of card, you're going to score at 1.5 inches on all 4 sides. And just a tip I realised earlier is I tend to, when I'm scoring on the trimmer, I score from the bottom up, and the reason for that is it just helps make sure it's butted up against the top edge there. So we're going to score that at 1.5 inches all the way around. That's the base done. And then the lid is 3 3/8 by 3 3/8, and you're going to score at 3/8 and 7/8. So the 3/8 is just 1 mark before that bigger mark there, and 7/8 is, well, it's 2 marks. It's sort of that slightly bigger one just before the 1. And I'm measuring on the right hand side here because that means that the rest of it is butted up there. So again, still scoring up from the bottom, particularly when I'm doing narrow scores. It's really useful to do that. It's all too easy on smaller pieces of card to sort of just let your grip loose a bit, and it goes. So that's all the scoring done, and then I'm going to go through, because it's card, do the usual, just reinforce the creases before we go. Okay, so we'll do the same on the base. Obviously, I'm doing these for Ferrero, but you could easily do something similar and put something else in. So, in order to make our base, we're just going to cut up on all 4 sides. And I'm cutting a small wedge out on both sides. I'll go back and do the other side I missed. And then I'm actually going to also cut just a small piece off the end, because it's a square box. Those just can stop it quite closing perfectly. So just literally cut, you know, probably 1/8 of an inch, half a centimetre. So that's our base. And would you believe, as I was preparing for this, I have run out of my fast fuse. So I'm going to use a bit of tear and tape instead. Obviously you could use red tape if you wanted. Very easy. I tend to use tape, as you know, and I do use red tape quite often when I'm doing boxes. But ones like this that aren't going to have anything substantial in, I don't worry about anything quite so strong. So then all I'm going to do is just come in and take the tape off. And this is a good reason for not using tape when you're on camera, because you can guarantee the tape will not want to come up. And then literally just fold and line up those four flaps. Tuck that last one in. Okay, and then just pinch those. So there's your basic box, and obviously you could glue the other flap down, but as I say, it's not going to have anything particularly substantial in it, certainly not in mine anyway. But the nice thing is for kids, this is great because you can get the little mini love hearts, and those fit in there beautifully. So if you're doing wedding favours for children particularly, then you could have something, because obviously, you know, or if you've got people with nut allergies. But obviously our Ferrero fits perfectly in the bottom there. In order to adhere the tape, then obviously this is DSP, so I can use my snail on these. So all I've done is I've cut 4 1-inch squares of DSP, and I have just scored those and folded them diagonally. In fact, I didn't even score them. I literally just folded them in half diagonally. They probably would have been a slightly crisper fold had I actually scored them first, but they're a little bit fiddly to line up. So having scored them, having folded them already, I'm just lining up with that very bottom corner and then sticking on either side. So hopefully you can see that. So very bottom, and again, just at the very bottom. And the beauty of that is it then covers up your joins as well. Okay. So there you go, there's your decoration on there. And to make our lid, this is the same reinforced lid we've used for a few different projects now, or I've used. So you're just going to come round and trim off the outer 3 corners. And this makes this lid quite snug fitting on it, which sometimes means you just have to pinch very gently to get the lid on. But it does mean that it's not going to, it's actually a fit as opposed to just sort of sitting there and rattling around. Which, if it's going to be on a table particularly, you know, you don't want people to sort of be, the lids flying everywhere. So having cut the 3 squares off on all the corners, you're just going to come down, and on this I just notch out on the one side. You can notch out on both sides if you want. I find that one is sufficient. Okay, and then again I'm just going to come in with some tape, in this instance on the outside here. And then then you just need a small piece where the tabs are going to go. So you could either put it on the tab itself, or as I'm doing here, you can put it on the side. I tend not to put glue all the way across here because that flap only comes part of the way down, and you can end up with a bit of glue. But you could do it that way as well. But really, you only need a little piece to hold that flap in place. So I'm just going to go around and take off the top layer of the tape. And this is where your piercing tool can be very useful. And it's, you know, this is the only bit that really takes a lot of time on these. But you could, if you're making a lot of them, you could prep these in advance and sort of then, you know, make them up at the last minute. taken all the tape off, and all you're going to do is the same as we've done before. So it's lining up those 4 corners. And then once you've done that, folding in the flap like so. And then coming in with your bone folder and just reinforcing those. And that just helps give you a nice sharp finish. So there's our lid. All you need to do is pop that on, and there's your box finished. But what I'm going to do to decorate is, I thought it would be, in my attempt to use up my washi tape, this is some of the retiring washi tape from the It's My Party, but we were all challenged to use more washi tape, so here we go. And it is a useful way to just add a bit of decoration, rather than cutting little bits of DSP, which can be quite fiddly, to get right. So just put a bit of washi tape around, overlap it, and there's your lid. And then to decorate it in the same way that I have, or in a similar way to the other one, I've got a piece of DSP here. So this is the reverse of the dotty one that I used first of all, and so you've got a piece of DSP that is 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, a piece of card that is 1.25 by 1.25, and then DSP that is 7/8 by 7/8. And again, I'm just going to layer those up. So we're putting DSP onto card, so a little bit of snail, put that on there. Then I'm going to put the DSP onto the top layer, and you'll see from this one it's actually raised up slightly, and that's so you can get the ribbon through. So having layered that, I'm just going to work out generally where the middle is on those, and eyeball it, and just punch a hole with whatever hole punch you happen to have. Cut a small piece of ribbon. So this is it's not 3/8 at all, it's our 1/8 silver and gold ribbon. And all I'm going to do is put the 2 ends together there and poke those through like so. And then on the underneath of this, I'm going to use a couple of little bits of red tape, and I do use red tape for ribbon, as I just find it holds, particularly when the ribbon's going to be used, as this will, for actually pulling the lid off, or as it might be for using the lid off. Okay, so a couple of pieces of red tape either side. Take the lining off. And then just lay the tape as you want it. So work out how big a loop you want. Just pull through, as I've done there, till you've got the size. Then lay it across, and then all you need to do is just come in and trim as you need it. Now I'm actually going to be a little bit, whilst I'm normally frugal with my dimensionals, on this occasion I'm actually going to be quite generous with my use of dimensionals, because as I say, we're going to want to make sure it's nice and adhered. But I am going to use the side bits. So just put those couple of side bits in there, and they'll hold it down a little bit, as well as making sure that ribbon stays in place. So having put the dimensionals on, put your lid in place, and there we go, there's our little box finished. So all that's left then is to do our label for the front, and to do that I'm just going to use a scrap of white cardstock and some Melon Mambo ink, and this is actually from the Petite Pears, and it just says best wishes. And this is using, as I said, the washi label, which I think may have, well, it's certainly retiring, and by the time this is out, it may have sold out as well. But hopefully you've got something similar. So again, with this, it's a big label, but all you're going to do in order to trim that down is attach it to a post-it note and then pop it in, line it up to where you want and pop it through. And then you can use either some DSP or some cardstock. So I'm actually going to come in and use the rest of the DSP that I was using before. So again, just cut the label, come in with the post-it note again, come in from this side. And I'm not being exact on these. On the other one I used 3 layers, on this one I think 2 layers is probably quite sufficient. So you just made a little background layer. Best wishes. And then you can just attach that using a dimensional to the front there. Actually, looking at it, I think I will put a little bit of pink on there to make it stand out from the rest of the DSP, although it's just going to blend in a bit too much. I'll cut that a little bit small. So there we go. So there's our label. Again, pop it up on a piece of dimensional, whatever you happen to have to hand. There you go. So there we go, another Ferrero Friday. This is a different one. This is a lift-off lid box, and it's a layered lid. And as I say in my blog post, originally this was one that was done by Susie Shales, Life's Little Pleasures, so do go and have a look at Susie's version as well. I do like to credit people wherever I can, and she did a little layered lidded box, so I hope she doesn't mind me casing it and adapting it for my Ferrero Friday project. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll be back soon. Bye bye.